Yo, what's good, everybody? It's the Joker in Deck, Mr. J, coming at you live from Ohio Media School inside the Audio Emphasis Lab. And I said earlier I wasn't gonna get online talking about the whole Kendrick response with the Euphoria, and I thought about it, and I've been talking with some of my coworkers and stuff, and I'm just gonna be bluntly honest with everybody with my take on it. And I preface this by saying, and everybody knows this, I'm an avid Kendrick fan. I'm a Drake fan. I'm an avid Cole fan. But what I've sold to my friends, and I'll be open and honest, and what I'm going to say here is that was about as mid of a diss track that you could get. Just being real, being honest. You get mad, everybody can sit there, and I've seen all the pundits. I've seen people that I respect in the industry come back and sit there and say, yo, man, he obliterated Drake. No, he didn't. Let's call a spade a spade. All right? One, this is what we waited this long for. You gave, if you look at the timeline of everything, you jumped on a track, and I've said this before, you jumped on a track where the people that was releasing the track said that there was no features and there was going to be no guest appearances on their album. And then they shocked everybody with all the guest features and all the albums on there. You jumped on the track and you said things that you mentioned 11 years ago. Think about it. This is around the time when Control came out in 2013. You did all that. That's fine. You jumped on there. You voiced your opinion. Then you sat back and thought that was going to be enough. Cole came back, and I'll get to Cole on the back end of this. But Cole came back. He said his part on it. That was a light jab back at you. And it was more of a brotherly jab back to you. And I stated that in the previous video. And then Drake came back. And then Drake came back again because in what took him pretty much, I want to say maybe a week or so to respond to, you came back 2.5 weeks after the fact to say what you said in that. So I say that in saying that if you came and that was what you wanted to do, and this was your response to that, you could have gave us something else other than stuff that was already said before. Everything that was mentioned in there, the only things that was in there that was mentioned that draws some type of a moment in this whole thing was the fact that that Kendrick referenced Drake's daddy as a killer, your adamant hatred of Drake, and the fact that you said that was a loose verse that you just threw out there to put on like that. Other than that, everything, the abs, the race issue, the culture vulture issue, the ghostwriter issue, all those things is all stuff that everybody just said before, even recently. So what did you give us new that was going to be something to where we sat there and we was like, that was the no Vaseline moment. That was a hit 'em up moment. That was a Chris Brown talking about Quavo moment. None of it. So no, it wasn't the be all end all greatest diss track of it all was there. And when I get into Cole has to say something now. Because yes, I understand, and I'm very very in tune with the fact of finding your inner peace and saying that's not me in that aspect of it. But you can't lay back and take straight shots from two separate people in the past week and a half and sit on your laurels and say nothing. You can't right now in this aspect of it, because what we're watching right now is J. Cole's legacy in there after the epic run that he was on, getting pretty much flushed down the toilet. He's still gonna be one of the top MCs, but you can't. You're basically he's becoming the KD of the industry right now. So going back to this, Cole aside, going back to the whole Kendrick aspect of it, like I said, let's call it a spade a spade. If you know your history in music, you know that after Section 80, the first time anybody heard Kendrick Lamar on a legitimate album was Take Care with Drake. When he put him on that interlude on there. A lot of people don't realize that Drake got ASAP and Kendrick as the opening acts for Club Paradise. So, and then everything was cool. You did Poetic Justice, and then everything was cool until you did your whole spiel with until you did the Control verse. Then after that, it's been light pity pat jabs and stuff. But to come out with the hatred that you just basically said, I hate. There's no coming back when you saw talking about somebody saying you hate the way that they walk, the way that they talk, basically everything about that person. You despise that person. So, were you being fake back then? Or what you should have did was address what caused the issue to happen. Because right now, what you're doing is you're tap dancing. Everybody's tap dancing. And if you a lover of hip-hop never tap dance. Did Dre and Ice Cube tap dance when they was going back and forth? Did Biggie and Pac tap dance when they went back and forth? Did Nas and Jago tap dance when they went back and forth? No. Y'all can come out and be friends on the back end of it, but the tap dancing need to stop. Because as of right now, with this aspect of it, while everybody's saying that was an evisceration, I don't call Drake's disses an evisceration. I don't call none of the sides of evisceration. What I call them is basically slap boxing in mud. And there's nothing that comes out of slap boxing in mud except sinking deeper and deeper. And that's not going to be anything good for hip hop. And getting ready to get this together, I saw Rick Ross posting, giving up his opinions. Here's the thought, Rick. You basically riding the coattails of something to try to make yourself popular. Drop something new without it being on Khaled album. My coworker Ali sat there and said today, it's either one or two things. This can really go nuclear because in my eyes, Drake right now has the perfect setup to come back and kill everybody. He can come out and say exactly what I just said. Y'all done said all this. And then he can go back and punch Kendrick, which Kendrick right now, if you don't pay attention, Kendrick is an open book right now. Because we don't know that much about Kendrick's personal life. We don't know that much about Kendrick's history. Kendrick threw that veiled shot out there at Drake about, that was the other shot. You threw this veiled shot about him not raising his kid, but didn't Drake do the same thing or try to do the same thing that you did? Because we didn't know you had 2 kids until Mr. Morale. So let's be real. Let's call a spade a spade. We don't know Kendrick's personal life right now at all. But if Drake knows, and he mentioned that Drake was calling around trying to find out information about it. If his circle ain't tight and Drake knows something that he doesn't, that the world doesn't know, and he lets that out, who's it gonna hurt? It's not too much more that we don't know about Drake that could hurt. I mean, there's pretty much nothing that we haven't already assumed. So I'm gonna wrap this up because it's closing time here. I gotta make sure I check on my students and everything else before they get out of here tonight. But really take the time to think about that. And for the pundits and the people whose opinions I respect, and some of the ones that are in the same aspect of it, if you know the history of hip hop and you know what has came before and what will probably come after, realistically, stop over exaggerating everything that's going on, because that's all this was an over exaggeration. It hit, it was a slap in the face. But again, like I've mentioned before in the conversation in the past, Kendrick came out and sucker punched Drake. Drake hit him with a 2-piece, and then Kendrick came back a week and a half later with a slap across the face. It was a strong slap, but it was a slap across the face. It wasn't a knockout punch. It should have been a Hadouken, but it was pretty much a skibbity pat. Shout out to Tony Baker on that one. All right, y'all. Joker in your deck. Out. To the next video.